Hey everybody, it's Thursday, which is time for Confederate Minute. And we're going to talk with Isenhour Speaks again about a real serious subject close to home. There are there's a high school and a middle school up in Hanover County called Lee Davis High and Stonewall Jackson Middle School. Guess what the NAACP is doing? They're going to do a lawsuit against the high school and the middle school because the name offends, I guess, the children from learning. I don't know how that works, but anyway, they're going to go to war against us again over the names of Lee Davis High and Stonewall Jackson Middle School. Now, we're going to react as we did the last time. We're going to react in several different ways. The first way, I want to focus on Stonewall Jackson Middle School because, just like I said, we'll talk about Lee Davis another time. I'm going to focus on Stonewall Jackson himself because it is well known. Even the snowflake fake history out there, they still know that Stonewall Jackson had a Sunday school set up specifically for black children and slaves and black people. And he taught them at the school. What a lot of people do not realize is he started this endeavor in 1855 while he was a professor at VMI. He used his own money to do this. In addition, he rented a little schoolhouse that actually was behind the Presbyterian church that he attended there in Lexington. The little house is no longer there. It was torn down in the about 100 years ago. But it was a one-house little schoolroom, and he managed to pay for this out of his own pocket. And he also raised funds for the teachers who actually helped the schools. He taught there himself, as well as he hired a staff that taught full-time. Now, people in this NAACP are trying to tell us that man was some kind of racist, white supremacist, yada, 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 whatever they're saying. However, it is not true in any fashion, and we know better. Mr. Jackson, General Jackson, later on in the war, actually was dedicated to this because he believed that it was his charge to preach the gospel, and he did so. And he was faithful. He put his money where his mouth was. And this school was started so that the black children would learn how to read, and they actually was helping teach slaves, older slaves at the time. And this, at that time, was against Virginia law. So Mr. Jackson, if you were, was a kind of advanced, I don't know what you call him, civil rights person. I don't know what you want to call him, but he was basically ignoring Virginia law and teaching black folks how to read and write. Wow. He did that in 1855, folks. And yet you want to tell me now in 2019 that man was a racist? You want to tell me that man is somehow not to be talked about by young people in a middle school? That is ridiculous. How insane can you be? The story should be told. It should be shouted all over the place. Stonewall Jackson actually took generations of black folks who at the time, some of them were slaves, some of them were free blacks, and taught them how to read and write. That went on to produce an entire generation, several generations of black folks that were leaders in the state of Virginia. Some of them going into the ministry, some of them going into businesses. There are churches and stuff that this man started, or that his teaching these children. He sowed the seeds in these children on how to read and write, and they went on to do great things. That is something that we should talk about. We should be screaming from the rooftops of Stonewall Jackson Middle School that this is a great man. Look at what he did. And yet somehow the NAACP is now once again raising money. They're raising money to fight, quote, the proverbial racism of whatever the name is, the name of a school. That's just ridiculous. Now, we're going to fight back, as we did the last time they came after us. This time we're going to do a little bit of the T-shirt fun war. We are going to produce T-shirts in this fight that I think is going to have to... I think that these T-shirts are actually going to be part of increased sales of duct tape because they have to wrap their heads before all the brains explode. Anyway, this is going to be the back of the T-shirt. The front of the T-shirt will be the openly gray, as you can see, on this other T-shirt I have. On the back of it, though, will be this. And this is what we're going after, because this is the truth. They're actually trying to say somehow that this man was a bad man because he taught children how to read. How insane can you be? Now, keep this under wraps, because I don't want to get out too much. But these t-shirts will be done, and they're being pre-ordered. And we're going to hook up to the account here, so you can pre-order these. These shirts are $20 a piece. And on PayPal, you'll be able to tell your size that you want. They'll be in charcoal gray. Also, make sure that you put your phone number. Make sure that you put your address. And if there's any challenges, I can call you and talk about it. It's going to take us about 3 to 4 weeks to have them printed. So keep that in mind. It won't be. I don't have these T-shirts in stock at this moment, but we will be able to get those to you. So please participate in that. The other thing is we've got to go directly at this. The challenge that we have with the news media and everybody else is somehow they want to lump us all to one thing. That somehow that our heroes, our Southern heroes, and rightly they are Southern heroes, who not only fought, bled, and in Jackson's case died for the state, the Commonwealth of Virginia. This man should be honored in many, many different areas. Not only as a veteran, not only as a great American. I mean, he was a veteran of several wars that he fought in the United States Army as well as the Confederate Army, as we all know. And to sit there and to talk bad about this man and his effort in 1855 on through the war to teach black children and black folks how to read and write is just insanity. We've got to stop this nonsense. These people are coming after us with all these false narratives. Now, I did go on the internet kind of getting ready for this and Googled a few things. You wouldn't believe the stuff coming up about Jackson. Oh, our old friend Kevin Levin even has a little blog about how Jackson was a bad man. Anyway, I want to read something to you that we came across some of this. Now, this is these are I would call snowflake historians rewrite, but just to give you a flare of how they talk about this. Jackson owned slaves, and members of his family did too. He remained faithful to Miss Fanny, a slave who raised him. Perhaps it was his doting relationship with Miss Fanny and God's command of love thy neighbor, that's in quotes, that caused him to treat slaves humanely. Jackson's 6 slaves were named Hetty, Cyrus, George, Albert, Amy, and Emma. Some of them were presented to Jackson as gifts while others worked towards earning their freedom. Stop here for a second. As I said, that he inherited them. And also they had some of them that were working for their freedom. That's how we have free blacks in the South when the war started. Way before this, slaves in the South could buy their freedom, which in many cases they did. So this notion that somehow Jackson was some horrible man because he inherited some slaves is crazy. Now, another fun thing to talk about is our old friend James Robertson. Big historian. I mean, he sells lots of books. Good man, good man. Anyway, he has to speculate about Jackson's view on slavery because Jackson himself didn't write a lot about it. So James Robertson speculating that, quote, Jackson neither apologized nor spoke in favor of the practice of slavery. In his mind, the Creator had sanctioned slavery and man had no moral right to challenge its existence. Then Robertson adds, the good Christian slaveholder treated his servants fairly and humanely at all times. Even that little blurb there from, quote, a Southern historian, he's disparaging this. It just, well, first of all, why would Jackson apologize for it? I mean, think about this, folks. In today's world, we're all about apologizing. What's he going to get up in front of the church and say, I'm sorry that there's slavery? Ridiculous. These liberals are just crazy with this stuff. However, that is just the beginning of their nightmare about their talks. We have to fight back, and I know that we will because we fought back again and again in this situation. Again, later editions we'll be talking about the Lee Davis High, but right now we're going to focus on the Stonewall Jackson Middle School. So pre-order your shirts and show up with them and make liberals go crazy. Thank you all. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.